Imagine waking up and realizing the entry ticket to VTHO's reward club just got slashed to the price of a weekend getaway. And get this, grabbing that ticket might put you in the express lane for a bonus that drops on July 1st. So here is why you're going to lean in for the next few minutes. Vechain just ripped up his old playbook, rolled out 3 shiny eco nodes, and practically dared regular folks like you and me to test drive them. Now, I've already kind of crunched the numbers, poked the smart contracts, and set alarms for the kind of Stargate upgrade. And what I found surprised me, and it might just shift how you look at VET for the rest of the year. Okay, so this might just shock you, but I am not a financial advisor and nothing in this video is financial advice. Cryptocurrencies are highly volatile and you could lose all the money that you invest. You should always do your own research and consult a qualified professional. Your investments are entirely your responsibility and you should know that nothing is ever guaranteed when it comes to investing. Neither this channel nor YouTube are liable for any losses. And today's video is just for entertainment and educational purposes only. Alright, so the disclaimer's down, curiosity still up. Let me kind of paint you a quick picture. 2 weeks ago, I was scrolling through Telegram at 2 AM because what is sleep in crypto anyway? Right. When I kind of stumbled on Vechain's Renaissance announcement, that's 3 new node tiers, Dawn, Lightning, and Flash, right? Starting at just 10,000 VET tokens. Now, I literally kind of rubbed my eyes, I checked the calendar to make sure it wasn't April Fool's joke, and then kind of sprinted to my notepad. 10,000 VET used to be kind of barely a warm-up, right? But now, in the actual kind of threshold, that's kind of like Starbucks suddenly saying the Frappuccino earns you a little air miles. It's absurdly, well, generous. So here's the old pain point, right? Under the previous Guardian node system, you needed boatloads of VET. Think remortgage the house levels to unlock meaningful rewards. Now, small holders, they were always sat on the sidelines, right? Staring through the glass like kids outside an arcade with no quarters. And I was one of those kids. Sure, I held VET, but my stash was nowhere near Guardian material. Enter the new Dawn node, right? Just 10,000 VET for a 1x kind of reward multiplier. That's nothing fancy, but it's finally a seat at the table. But then it got spicier. Level up to the Lightning node with 50,000 VET and you can earn 1.15 times. That's exactly 15%. So it might not sound, extra kind of 15% might not sound like fireworks, but remember, compounding turns drips into rivers over time. And if you're kind of a whale or maybe even a kraken, hit 200,000 VET for a flash node and boom, 1.3x rewards. That's basically strapping in and strapped a kind of turbo, I guess, to your staking engine. Here is the kind of the chef's kiss move that Vechain kind of slipped in, right? You can mix and match nodes like Lego bricks. If you've got 120,000 VET, you can spin up a Dawn node plus a Lightning node, right? 260, that's 2 Lightning and a Dawn. It's modular and it kind of means that you don't have to scramble your bag to hit kind of the perfect numbers. That kind of flexibility is the real renaissance in my opinion. So I ran my own experiment, right? My bag sat at a modest 62,000 VET. Some of it from the dip that we saw back in March when VET kind of kissed 0.021 cents. And not enough for a flash, but enough for a Lightning plus some leftover. So I fired up a Dawn, the kind of first 10,000, clicked stake, waited for the glorious green check mark, and then created a Lightning for the remaining 52,000. Now the interface literally congratulated me like I'd just leveled up in Mario Kart. Now you can cue the stat nerds in me because I opened up Excel and I modeled out 3 different scenarios, right? Keeping everything in one Lightning, splitting Dawn plus Lightning, my setup, or grinding up to the Flash, right? Over 5 years, assuming the same, V4 emission schedule and ignoring price swings, dangerous assumptions, I know, right? The split strategy actually ended up with 5% of Flash's total haul, but with 38% less capital committed. Now that trade-off kind of felt worth it, so I locked it in and moved on to the bigger headline, Stargate. Now Vechain's Stargate upgrade lands on July 1st, and no, that's not a sci-fi crossover as much as I wish it was. It's actually the governance and scalability revamp that shuffles how validators vote and how V4 gets distributed. So the team's teaser basically screams, restructure now for bonus rewards later. So let's think of it like boarding an aeroplane early so that you can snag the overhead bin space, right? The rumor mill, okay, the GitHub notes, hints that an extra allocation wave for wallets already staking when the protocol flips. Now that is why eco node timing is kind of the chef level strategic, right? Gives kind of people 4 weeks to shuffle tokens, set nodes, and be in place for the fireworks. Okay, if you're wondering how the market can digest all of this, let's cue the kind of price roller coaster. On launch day, VET kind of dropped 2.89% to around about 2.3 cents. That's not exactly moon music, is it? But volume exploded 67% over the next $60 million or so. The translation here is that traders hit the throttle even while price dipped. Now, my Telegram kind of blew up with screenshots of order books piling green on one side and red on the other, a bit like a tug of war at recess. The derivatives, they actually told their own soap opera. Open interest slid 6.6% to 64 million, meaning that some speculators actually backed off. Liquidations, 320 grand in 24 hours. Longs ate the biggest pie at 280k. Shorts barely even nibbled 40 grand, yet the funding rate kind of stayed slightly positive at 0.008%. That's just enough bullish perfume in the air to keep optimists kind of smiling. As kind of one buddy texted me, markets flexing its biceps hasn't decided which weight to lift. And speaking of weights, I felt the itch to kind of diversify platforms a little bit. And that's kind of when Bitrue popped up waving its Launchpad banner, right? Stake VET, earn B3TR from the pool, of 82,000 tokens. It's kind of like getting, airline miles while you already earn hotel points. The synergic kind of loyalty on steroids, if you will. Now, I kind of threw 10,000 VET at Bitrue just to kind of feel the UI, smooth as butter, of course. And for those new to Bitrue, the interface kind of practically holds your hand and whispers sweet APR percentages. But of course, it's important to note that nothing is ever guaranteed. And another sidebar, quick reminder of course, is that Vechain crypto exchange, the link also in the description down below, is an affiliate link that directly supports the channel here. So if you're hunting for deep liquidity altcoin pairs or just want another venue for kind of perpetuals, give Vechain a bit of a whirl. And yes, by clicking, you're basically tossing a digital coffee my way. So thanks in advance. All right, let's get back to the Vechain bigger picture. Remember when Ethereum gas fees spiked to I could buy a pizza or send a token levels, right? Now, Vechain kept humming along with its dual token design, VET for value, V4 for gas. Now, Stargate doubles down on that architecture by giving validators more say and optimizing fee economics, right? Now, in plain English, it basically means there's fewer bottlenecks, there's smoother DApp performance, and a governance model that doesn't actually feel like a monarchy. So I hopped on a Twitter space last Friday with a dev who knee kind of deep in Stargate testnet. I compared new validator voting to moving, from snail mail ballots to real-time Zoom polls. Now, decisions, of course, that once kind of took epochs now finalize in near real time, sub-minute in most cases. Now, that means faster parameter tweaks, quicker community proposals, and ideally less risk of stagnation. Now, remember how slow boats turn? Well, Stargate kind of straps 2 jet engines on the back of Vechain's yacht. But where's the narrative climax? Now, for me, it actually arrived when I woke up to an alert. Vechain's Treasury posted a teaser GIF, 3 shooting stars morphing into the node icons, right? Timestamped T 28 days. Social feeds obviously erupted. holders kind of blasted rocket emojis like confetti. Suddenly, the 12.88% upside target in the kind of chartist telegram, it didn't actually feel like hopium. It actually felt plausible. Now, I am, of course, kind of price whisperer. I do my own TA from time to time, of course, but when volume spikes and, funding turns green, and of course, Telegram rooms kind of light up, I have to start paying attention. But let's keep it real though, right? Crypto rewards can be like carnival games. They're flashy lights, loud music, but sometimes the basketball hoop is smaller than the regular size. Now, the new node tiers reduce friction. Sure, yeah, they do. But you're still locking up tokens, exposing yourself to price swings and betting that the team sticks to the roadmap. Could VET dip to 2 cents again? Absolutely. Could Stargate launch get delayed? Historically, history says that software timelines, they do slide. Now, that's why I treat every staking decision like picking a seat on a roller coaster. You buckle up knowing sudden drops are going to be a part of the thrill. Now, to manage that thrill, I keep my brain trust very close. We've got a free educational Discord server. Link is lounging in the description down below, where there are over 7,500 of us dissecting tokenomics, swapping mind-blowing charts, and occasionally debate whether pineapple belongs on pizza. I don't think it does. My wife thinks it should. Now, you should probably think about swinging on by, lurking if you're shy, and maybe you can drop your node strategy if you're bold. It's a chill, spam-free, and moderated by a full-time team of moderators, who can spot a rug pull faster than you can say, exit liquidity. Now, one underrated perk of the new eco nodes is how they interact with V4, because V4 is minted per VET held, right? And any multiplier directly juicing your VET balance effectively kind of juices your own gas earnings, right? So picture a vending machine that dispenses 2 sodas because you inserted a shiny coin instead of a dull one. Over time, that extra V4 can cover transaction fees or be sold to offset your fiat cost bases, creating a sneaky little dividend stream. So, of course, like any degen, I did the back of the napkin projections. Now, at the current rates, the Dawn node earns around 0.000432 V4 per day per VET. You can scale that to 10,000 VET, and you're kind of netting roughly 4.32 V4 daily. Lightning is at 1.15 times, so you can pull in under 5 flash, right? You're kissing 5.6 V4 a day. Now that's the difference between, it's a difference of over 400 V4 per month, between the Dawn and the Flash, right? That's not life-changing, but stack 3 years of that, and suddenly you've minted enough V4 to pay for dozens of token transfers, or maybe buy yourself a mechanical keyboard that you've been eyeing up. But we also need to address liquidity, right? If you're worried about, staking locking you from selling during the moments of volatility, Vechain has made a redemption nearly instant, right? There's a soft cap calling period, but compared to old Guardian nodes, it's actually a sprint, not a marathon. So I tested it. I unbound my Dawn allocation. I waited 24 hours and the funds were there, completely free. Now that's flexibility, lowers kind of the psychological barrier. It's huge for newcomers who hate feeling trapped. And here's their kind of kitchen table analogy then, right? Imagine saving for retirement, but discovering a kind of plan where you can withdraw every paycheck without actual penalties. You'd be more likely to commit in the first place because the exit isn't bricked up. And that's what the new node system actually accomplishes. Now, what about that 12.88% upside number kind of floating around? We've mentioned it a couple of times. Well, it actually comes from a descending wedge breakout projection, right? VET's been flirting with the kind of top of that wedge, like a teenager hovering near the snack table at prom. You know what I mean, right? Now, if prices slide through resistance at roughly around 2.4 cents, well, the people who do the charts, the analysts, they target 2.6 to 2.8 cents, and almost kind of 13% pop. But wedges sometimes fake out. Now, volume is going to be your lie detector here, right? Given the 67% volume surge, odds look better than a coin flip, yet nothing is guaranteed. My rule, I let kind of on-chain data and macro sentiment kind of, tell me my trades. Now, speaking of the macro, inflation data comes in hot and we might actually see risk assets stumble a little bit. So pulling altcoins, of course, with them. Now, there's no node multiplier that's going to shield your portfolio from those macro type headwinds. It's kind of like waxing your surfboard. It helps, but a rough wave is still going to toss you. Okay. It's time for a moment of reflection. Why does any of this matter beyond numbers on a screen? And I'm a lazy editor, so there were very few numbers on the screen. But I'll tell you why. It's because VeChain's pivot is a case study in lowering barriers without diluting core economics, right? Crypto desperately needs mainstream touch points, right? And slashing kind of minimums from moon size to 10,000 tokens is at least an olive branch to smaller investors. Now, I've watched friends who once kind of dismissed VET as enterprise only suddenly DM me screenshots of Dawn nodes like they've got a new puppy. And if you're considering, hopping on this train, you're going to map out 3 different checkpoints. The first one is going to be inventory your VET, right? If you're kind of south of 10,000, maybe dollar cost average rather than just YOLO in, right? The second thing to do here is to decide if Lightning's juice is worth the squeeze. 50K may feel heavy, but 15% kicker, compounds fast, right? Third, of course, is the kind of calendar reminder. For July 1st, Stargate, so that you don't miss any bonus snapshots. And I literally have 3 different alarms here on my phone, the desktop and Alexa, all yelling at me, Stargate, and me kind of like an excited nerd friend, if you will. And don't forget platform diversification, right? Blowfin has been my sidekick for catching a lot of these altcoin moves. Now, especially with the kind of the low slippage, the VET USDT pair. Again, right, the affiliate link is in the description, right? Clicking it kind of costs you absolutely nothing. It does, of course, keep my coffee mug full and these deep dives rolling. All right, let's land the plane. VeChain's new eco nodes kind of shrinks the velvet rope, right? Stargate is about to crank governance into high gear and the market's hinting at a potential breakout. Whether you're stacking Dawn nodes like Pokemon cards or eyeing a Flash node flex, remember the carnival game caveat. Lights are bright, odds are not guaranteed. Equip yourself with data, join the Discord brain trust, and never stake more than you are willing to watch yo-yo.